So I met you a couple of weeks ago at I think you were a speaker at the at Stanford.
Correct.
Yeah. And I was interested in what you guys were doing. I looked at the website as well. It looks like what you're doing is a lot of like maybe document imaging and all, and taking medical records and digitizing them and X-rays and things like that. Is that correct?
It isn't scanning documents. It is medical imaging, whether it's X-rays, any kind of CT, MRI, or even normal photographs in case of wound care or accidents. We get those on for each patient onto the cloud and either sharing among physicians or between physicians and patients. And then our specialty sauce beyond that is how the recipient can inject, insert, and digest that data into their own local medical records. So if you were a patient in Facility 1 and they used our services to share your exams with a doctor in Facility 2, how do they make that part of their own electronic medical record is the additional benefit that we bring to the table.
Oh, okay. So now you said it was X-rays and things like that as well, right?
That's what it mostly is. It is X-rays, radiology, and cardiology imaging.
Well, okay. I did a little bit of that work back in the mid-'90s, back in the infancy of all this. This is at that time they were taking actual real X-rays and scanning them in. And one of the big concerns was that if the images had any kind of a spot on them accidentally, somebody could be misdiagnosed. So is that still a concern at all?
It always is.
Yeah, it always is.
There's a standard called DICOM, which makes sure that you have captured all the imaging data from the source, and the data can stay intact. So when it arrives at point B, you can have assurances that pixels are not missing.
Oh, okay. So is that proprietary software then they're using to make sure the pixels aren't missing?
No, that's a standard in imaging, medical imaging called DICOM. DICOM.
Oh, okay. Okay. So now, so tell me a little bit about yourself and how you came up with the idea of lifeImage.
I'm an engineer by background. I've spent all of my almost 30-year professional life in healthcare IT. My last company was what the industry calls a PACS company. P as in Peter, A, C as in Charlie, S. Stands for Picture Archival Communication System. This previous startup was in the business of putting digital images in front of radiologists for them to diagnose the exam. After that company was successful and went on to be a public company and have hundreds of customers and so forth, I took some time off, and during that period I was paying attention to my mother, who needed to be seen by various specialists from one facility to the next. And that's when I learned that imaging exams are very difficult to put from one facility into the other and put it in the hands of other physicians. So in the process of caring for her, I got to know more about what the real needs are and decided to start lifeImage. And two or three of us co-founders got together and put the prototype together and showed it to various healthcare professionals that we had as customers and trusted sources, and we got very positive feedback, and we went ahead and got a company started after getting it funded.
Oh, okay. So how long ago did you start the company?
Company got started in January of
Oh, okay.
We got funding for it in April of 2009.
Okay, so you actually got funding for it fairly quickly then.
Relatively quickly, yeah.
Oh, wow! Congratulations. So,
Thank you.
yeah, that's a big achievement. I don't see many companies get funded that quickly. And so what's the who would now normally use lifeImage? Is that going to be doctors or clinics or individual patients or who?
The answer is all of the above. Most of the usage will be by physicians who see patients that have had imaging exams done elsewhere previously, and they need to have access to that history. Otherwise, they would either have to repeat the exam, which is both expensive, time-consuming, and in some cases, excessive radiation. Or they would have to go without the knowledge of what the patient had been suffering from, or how did the patient's anatomy look at the time of the previous exam, neither of which are good solutions. So mostly image-intensive specialists, cardiologists, neurologists, oncologists, orthopods. When you think about all the doctors that deal with imaging all the time, there are about 250,000 doctors that regularly use images with every patient. Those will be the highest number of users. Then there will be some patients. We today have a couple of 3,000 patients or so that have signed up for having access to their images in the cloud. Not that patients can either understand or care about too much of the details of the images themselves, but they would be able to use access to them to give access to other physicians. So if their physician happened not to have access to the previous exams, at least the patients can share the exams with the doctors for the purposes we talked about before. So patients too are users, but probably not as, their numbers aren't going to be as large in the early days of this phenomenon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now how does the product work? You're saying it's like primarily X-rays and all. So does the machine take the X-ray and automatically create a digital image? Because my understanding of X-rays is still probably old, where it's the old cellophane type, picture, and they put it up on a light board. I guess that's all changed now.
Most of the images right now are digital because film became too impractical and expensive as the use of imaging increased. It used to be that a CT or an MRI exam would have 30, 40 images in it, and you would print 10, 20 images per sheet of film. So you would hang 2 or 3 sheets of film on the light box, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. But as time went by, X-ray and CT
Oh, that's okay. So one last question I have. So that everything is all stored out in the cloud, all the images, and you take care of that part. That's correct, right?
Correct. It's stored in the cloud unless there are instructions to delete them once either they have been viewed or accessed, or once they've been downloaded to a different facility that no longer needs to be in our cloud.
Okay.
So that's one way for us to do the sharing. Another way is we simply know about the exams that have been performed at a facility and have an index of those. So when you ask where are Alex's images, we can tell you that there was an exam in UCLA, there was another one at Cedars-Sinai, and we effectively have a directory of your exams. And we won't actually move the exams unless they're needed. So you can, on one side, think of it as an iTunes model, where everything gets uploaded in the cloud, and then from there people consume it. The other one you can think of as the old Napster model, which is peer-to-peer, and you know what lives on different nodes, and you move it as required. Good deal, Alex. All the best.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.